One level deeper, how to understand what's going on. And we issued, as SWAF, my institute, a report, The Summit Conquered. And again, I invite you to give me the name of this beautiful mountain in Europe. Matterhorn, very good. In the Swiss Alps, it's the Matterhorn, and we changed the Matterhorn, of course, a little bit to fit our graph. But let's say we try to understand why we made progress. And then you have three basic questions to answer. The first one is, why did we conquer this summit? Which are the remaining problems left? And how can we create the shortest way to the valley? So these are the main questions we would like to answer during my residency, also for South Australia. But before doing that, I bring you back to the question why crashes occur. Because I learned already here, being several days, that there are strong opinions about that. I give you an example of a Dutch crash, so don't worry, it's a Dutch crash. 18 years old, just passed his driving or her driving test. So now you know that we are getting our driver license at 18. Saturday night, drives home from a party, a windy dike. The country is always windy. It's raining, the country is not always raining. Misjudges a bend, drives too fast, trees alongside the road. And the question comes up, what is the cause of this accident? And the answer is, unfortunately, not simple. The answer is somewhat complicated, because there are many factors involved in this crash. And that brings me to an important understanding of road crashes. Don't jump to a single cause of a crash. It's not the reality. It's not only one cause. Almost all crashes you have several causes and contributing factors. Don't look only for someone to blame the crash. Try to understand why this crash occurred and use all opportunities and possibilities you have to prevent that crash. To put it in another way, and I borrowed this from a colleague of mine from the United Kingdom, Rod Kimber. This is what you normally see if you talk about causes of crashes. In a majority, the driver is involved. Almost all crashes. In a minority, the vehicle and the road seems to be involved. And that's correct. If you have these type of studies, you can come up with a conclusion like that. But go along with me and see whether you can accept this approach. That you have a driver, but that driver drives in his environment, with that type of car, with that type of road, with that type of legislation, with all the things around him. And in that environment, the driver fails. Of course, we have now and then inexperienced drivers. They have additional problems. You have to learn to drive safely. That's not easy at all. You have to learn that. And of course, we have drivers who excess legislation and laws. Of course, we have them. I don't know exactly what is the proportion of this in South Australia, but this is one of the major things I would like to learn. How do you divide these different perspectives when it comes to your crashes, your deaths and your injuries? So that's one of the pieces of homework I have in mind for a few of you. Our tradition in road safety work is to look for the spikes in distributions. We're always looking who is running the high risk, who is having a high chance of getting injured. And here you have the well-known example of age distribution for males and females. And you see at a younger age, you have higher risk, and if you become elderly, you have high risk as well. It has nothing to do, by the way, with the fact that elderly drivers are performing very poor. It has everything to do with the physical vulnerability of elderly bodies. But nevertheless, this is what we do. And in the past, we addressed all these spikes, high peaks in these distributions. Same that we did, for example, when we studied drinking and driving, when we studied mobile phone use while driving, or fatigue. And all these factors are reality. We do know that these factors contribute to your risk. We dealt with them, and we dealt with them pretty successfully. I give you another example, again from the Netherlands, don't worry. It's a well-known approach to tackle high-risk locations. So you have a map of your city or your country, and you dot all the crashes on a map, and you try to identify where you have a concentration of crashes. And you go to these locations, and there you act. We did that. And here I give you the results from the Netherlands. So in '87, we killed something like 10% of our road fatalities on these locations. We act, and after 15 years it's 2%. That means that in our situation we cannot improve a lot more on these high-risk locations. So we have done our job. Of course we are going to treat the other 2%, but we have done our job. So this is another example of a spike in a distribution, saying there I can act and there I can work, you will improve it and you can be successful. After a while, you understand you cannot make a lot of progress anymore on these locations. And that's the reason why we came to this conclusion. More and more, our road safety problem is not concentrated in specific groups, specific locations, specific vehicle types. It's more spread over the whole system, spread over all vehicles, spread over all road users. And that comes back to the question, which are the basic risk factors in road traffic today? And I cite myself here in a publication in Italy. Crashes can and will occur everywhere. Ordinary drivers is ordinary behavior in ordinary circumstances. Besides that, I fully understand that we have those specific problems and we can work on that as well. But the proportion of those basic generic factors is increasing. And I dare to say in our system it's the majority of causes. And I would like to learn later on what's the situation in your country. Inherently dangerous, I said. Assume you are the one behind the two lights at the horizon. It's a rural road and a truck is coming your direction. The chance that this truck hits you is limited, but not zero. And sometimes that happens. So we create a condition where such a severe outcome can be reality. The same for a tree alongside the road. You can hit a tree. And if you hit the tree with a certain speed, it will kill you, that crash. So that is the inherent dangerous system we have today. And the question is, can we get rid of that? So I talked about these risk increasing factors. I talked about these basic generic factors. And if you improve your system, as we have done in the Netherlands in the past, you move more and more to these basic factors. These are the remaining problems in the future. you.